Okay, go.
All right, my name is Ryan Black, and this is Brad Stoll, a teacher a coach at Lawrence High School, and I'm just going to go through the 20 interview questions. Brad, what is your favorite part about your job as a teacher?
My favorite part is I go to gym all day long. I mean, playing dodgeball, kickball, basketball. I'm doing something all the time. It's very active, very fast-paced job.
And with that, there's pros and cons. What is your least favorite part about the job?
Paperwork.
Paperwork?
Hate it.
Anything in general? Or
I just, IEP meetings I like them because you get to see the parents and you get to have that connection with the families, but they're also, just have tons of them all the time.
Gotcha. Could you explain what the pros and cons would be of getting a graduate degree in the field of health and physical education? That's more a personal question for me, just wondering, graduate school, what that would look like.
Well, the benefit is if you're going to teach, that's the only way you're going to get a raise. It's like you can go into your principal and say, I want $15,000 more a year. They can't do that. So the only way to climb up the pay scale is to get a master's degree. But it's also good because you just continue your education. I mean, you're picking up more skills. You're picking up more knowledge in your area.
Okay. How do you integrate your personal beliefs into your teaching?
Well, I mean, my personal belief in all this is these kids are no different than everybody else. Just because they may have a disability, they may have autism or Down syndrome, doesn't mean they can't play dodgeball, that they can't play kickball. We have special, for the past several years, we've had a student with disability as our manager on the baseball team, and I just feel really passionate about getting those kids involved and being a part of the high school setting, the middle school setting, elementary school setting, and all walks of it.
Yeah. What is the best part about relating to students with disabilities?
Well, the best part is you get to know them and you have those relationships outside of school. I mean, I get calls from kids, emails from kids. You get to know their families and you build those relationships.
Yeah.
That's what's awesome.
That's great. What is the hardest situation you have ever been involved with in your years of teaching?
It's when you lose kids. Kids die. And this population I work with, you have kids with, their health is not the greatest, and I just a month ago went to a funeral for a student that had a seizure and died. That sucks. That's no fun.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
How have you modified your teaching to adapt to a student with a disability? Like a specific situation of how you've had to adapt to a student with a disability.
I would say just trying to think of a for instance here.
And if you want me to come back.
Yesterday we played a tag game at New York Elementary School. A little girl I was with there, student with Down syndrome. Tag game just moved really fast for her, so to ask her, and I think we talked about this in the class when I went up to Miss Dobbins, is it's hard for her to tag, it's hard for her to keep up, so we just sectioned off the gym. She had one area to tag and worry about, and she had a noodle, and she was able to tag 5 kids in the game, and she was able to get kids out.
That's cool. And that's all. I bet that's awesome to see that students with disabilities to succeed in that situation.
They're laughing and carrying on and having a good time. It's awesome.
That's great. Would you recommend teaching in-state, Kansas, or out-of-state after my undergraduate degree is finished? And this is just,
I'd say, I'm biased, but stay here. I really
Why?
don't. It's Kansas. Don't want to go to Missouri.
Yeah, good answer. What would be the steps to finding a job internationally after my undergraduate degree was finished? Would I need a different prerequisite?
That's a good question. I just had a friend, a kid I used to coach, who is teaching in Bangladesh right now, and he just struggled to find a job in the States and had a heck of a time, and he's teaching PE at a school in Bangladesh and loves it. I have no idea what the process is like. I just know that he wanted to try something out of the box, and he halfway across the country.
Cool.
Or the world, excuse me. Halfway across the world.
Let's see. As a person in the field of physical education, what is the best way to motivate the unmotivated?
Well, you have to find a way to... I can think there's a little girl that I have in elementary school, and we motivate her. She gets Justin Bieber stickers for every like 4 or 5 minutes that she's active or she's following directions. I've done some of the stupidest things that have to check your pride at the door, you know, and you have to act like you like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
You know, you motivate them with preferred activities, computer time. Maybe if they play maybe they hate basketball, and you say if you play basketball, then you can go over and play with a certain piece of equipment in the gym. I mean, you have to find a way to get them active. You know, you don't want to motivate with food. You don't want to motivate with things that are going to promote an unhealthy lifestyle. But we've done everything you can think of. So
that's cool.
Find a preferred activity.
Yeah. What is the hardest part about your job?
Well, I guess in a sense is sometimes you're trying to get kids moving that don't really have any interest in moving. Some kids that have no comprehension in what they're doing, but you're trying to find a way to get them involved. So I mean, there's constant challenges. The hard part, you know, is balancing all 40-some kids throughout the district. You know, I mean, trying to find time for everybody, matching all the schedules up. It can get kind of overwhelming at times. Yeah.
And the easiest part about your job?
I mean, I feel like I have an innate ability to relate to all these kids. I mean, I can just be an idiot for 45 minutes and have fun and just, you know,
that's
again,
awesome.
just check your pride at the door and do whatever it takes.
That's great. I like that. When handling students with disabilities, what has been the biggest issue?
Oh, it's the students that, you know, if you're mad at me, you'll just say, hey, man, I'm not very happy with you. Some kids that have communication issues, their way is they just kick you in the nuts. Or they pull your hair, or they smack you, or they, you know, it's those kind of things that are challenging because your initial response is you want to knock them back out, but you can't do that. No. So you have to that's part of it. I mean, I've been sent to the hospital with to get tetanus shots before. I mean, you get bruised, you have those issues, but you can't take it personal. It's not because they don't like you. It's because they're saying, hey, man, I don't like this. Yeah. But they can't tell you I don't like this. They tell you by, you know, whacking you over the head with a racket, and it's happened. Yeah. So.
Sure. And this is just another personal question because I know that you coach. As conflicts arise with other coaches in your coaching, how do you handle those? What's the best way of handling those?
Conflicts over?
Just like certain, you know, a method of doing things in the coaching field, and there's conflict over it?
Oh, you know, I think you just have to be professional and personable as much as possible. The worst thing to do is just avoid it, and I think it's going to take care of itself. Yeah. You know, that's the case in any relationship. But
that's true.
I think you just say, hey, you know, let's talk about this. This is bothering me. I want to know where you're coming from, and that helps out a lot.
Yeah. All right. When handling students with disabilities, what has been the hardest situation you've come across?
Well, I kind of touched on it a couple times. I mean, one is when you lose kids, and that happens in all education. You're going to have kids pass away, but again, with the students that I work with, their health sometimes isn't the greatest. And I think in the 15 years I've done this, I think I've lost 9 or 10 kids, you know, and that's no fun. Sometimes the hard thing is when kids can't communicate and they can't tell you what's going on, and you have to figure that out on your own because they can't sign or they can't speak or they can't use a PEG system and tell you what's going on. You have to figure that out on your own. That can be tough.
I'm sure. When starting out your teaching career, was the interview process intimidating? If so, how did you handle that?
Maybe not intimidating. It was just a little. You know, when you're first doing it, you're interviewing and filling out all these applications for so many districts, and you kind of get used to doing it. But when I interviewed for this job, you know, 15 years ago, I really wanted it, so I put all my effort into it, and I felt like, you know, my ability to relate to a lot of different people paid off because I was able to get in there, and it was just me and 8 women. You know, I could go in there and talk to anybody. So I don't think it was intimidating. It just sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Okay, it's good to know. When talking to parents with disabilities, have you ever addressed a student with a disability inappropriately on accident?
If I haven't been aware of it. Yeah. I think that's something that you have to really be aware of because some people don't, you know, they get really offended if you say, It's like earlier I said a student with Down syndrome. You don't want to say the little Down syndrome girl. Some people take offense to that. So you have to keep those parents, their feelings and their emotions in mind when you're talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good call.
I'm not a very PC person, but when it comes to that, you have to be. Yeah.
Do you still have personal time in your profession to stay physically active and work out? If so, what does that routine look like for you?
5 a.m. alarm clock going off.
Really?
Yeah, I mean we've got a group of teachers we meet and we run, and
That's cool.
we run 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and we swim 2 days a week. And really, I mean I got to get it in before my boys wake up, because when I get home I'm a dad or I'm coaching or whatever, so I don't have time to do it. But the other thing is in the job. I mean I swim 3 days a week with my students, so I'm in the pool constantly moving. I mean you're always on the go, so that's a good thing.
In the field of physical education, what other ways are there besides coaching to earn extra money on the side? Just like kind of an outlook of, maybe extra ways to earn money.
You can sponsor clubs. You can, I know a lot of times you can do the chains for a football game. You can score for volleyball games. You can PA for basketball game. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to make a little extra money.
Cool. That's good to know. When relating to students with disabilities, do you ever find yourself making things too easy on them, or in a way feeling too sorry for them?
Maybe sometimes, but I think again, if you have the mindset that A, they're no different than the other kids, and two, that your goal is to make sure they're involved in what's going on, then no. I mean, you don't want it to, you're not a mother hen. You're not in there to. You do have sympathy for them, but your job is to adapt what's going on in the PE curriculum. So, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, cool. All right.